Hey guys, we are here for batch painting part 2. In our last video we had taken our minis and we base coated them with our main colors. Then we worked our way up to a brighter version of that color so that it looks like the minis are being hit with light. We're gonna take it to the next level. We're gonna hit all the details. We're gonna hit all the other parts like the bag, the gun, the gears, whatever else is on the mini that needs to be painted. Keeping it simple to just a few colors, you know, black, brown, and some metallics so that it's something that we can easily hit all the minis with. Our strategy for this to make sure we did it efficiently was we'd stick to one color, let's say black, and go through all the minis, hit all the parts that need to be black. And then go back through the minis, hit all the parts that need to be brown, all the parts that need to be metallic. That way you're not, you know, cleaning off your brush, changing colors for one mini. It takes too long. So just hit one color in all the minis and then move on to the next set of colors. Go back to those parts like the book bag and the gun, and we're gonna lighten those up and kind of highlight them a little bit to make them pop just like we did with the armor. All right, so here we are where we left off last time. What I'm gonna do, like I mentioned before, I'm gonna just hit in some areas that I wanna have black as the base, do all the things that I want to have black, then I'll go back and hit all the parts I would like to have brown, and then I'm going to be doing some metallic work. And again, this is for batch painting, so it's meant to be, you know, it's not going to be the most beautiful, precise work you've ever done or the most detailed work. You want to cover all the parts at the minimum. So with the black, I'm going to go in and just hit some of those gun parts because the body of the gun is going to be black. And there is some paint on these already, obviously. He sent them to us with a paint job on them already that he just wasn't so happy with. So we're going over paint that was already there. I'll be keeping the metallics on the top and bottom. The bag, we're going to do brown. I'll do that in a little bit. All of these trim parts are going to be metallic, so I'm going to just leave that alone for now. That might be it for black, actually. All this little stuff is going to be brown. When I'm batch painting, for the sake of speed, just cover the whole general area. Right now it's all just dark brown, very, very dark. I'm gonna take some of that original brown I used, and what I like to do to lighten up my browns is to add a little bit of like kind of bright orange, and that gives it more of a look of brown that's being hit by the sun a little bit, rather than, yeah, a washed out brown. So that's what I would go and do to all the minis in the army. Just hit all the blacks, clean off my brush, hit all the brown parts, and then I'm gonna now go into some metallics. And a lot of this trim is pretty detailed work, so I'm making sure that I have an appropriate brush that has a nice firm body and a fine tips. You can see it had dark brown on it before, and I'm kind of dry brushing, and so it lets the dark from underneath still show, which is kind of nice, and it makes for a very quick paint job. I'm gonna get my copper color and just hit some of the emblems that are on them. You could also use wash. We actually use wash quite a bit, just to settle in those cracks and folds in fabric and things like that. He's looking a little cooler. I'm gonna compare to our more finished guy and just see how he's looking so far. Pretty good, a lot closer. We still need to do some little highlights here and there, and I do want to kind of create some more depth, especially around the metallics, to make them pop a little more. Before I do that, I'm going to show how I'm going to do patches on his arms and his eyes and this little scope area. They're all going to have this bright green kind of neon-y color. First I start with a really dark green color. So I'm going to get a little yellow to mix with my green to make it brighter. I go in with a pretty bright green after that and do a smaller surface. I leave like kind of the bottom area with that dark color. Mix some yellow with some white. We'll hit the very corner, very small dot on his eyes. And you can see it kind of just pops a lot more than if I were just to color it completely light green or something. Let me really quick just on this metallic before I forget. This is just something I forgot to do. If you wanted to stop there, pretty cool mini, doesn't need much else, especially if you're in a time constraint or something. I think stopping there and just doing a simple base would be absolutely fine. I'm gonna keep going though, doing little areas of highlight and detail, and then he'll be totally done. So one thing that I would like to do, like I mentioned before, you can use wash. This is the Nuln Oil shade. Or you could just take black paint if you don't want to go to the store and buy that if you don't have it. Take some black paint, water it down pretty heavily. Noah talked about watering paints down. Kind of like a glaze. It's going to be super watery. That's fine because we don't want to put a black striped paint on our mini. So for example, if I take my brush with some of that watered down black paint, I can go into his mask area and kind of just go over the area with my black paint. You can see it's pretty watery. If I just dry off my brush, I can kind of pick up the excess. And it kind of just settles into different cracks and go back around that copper skull and just bring some depth behind it so you can see the shape a little better. Run it along the edges. And it's thin enough that you're not going to see the edge of that paint. It's not going to leave like an ugly mark on your mini. It's just to help pop out some details. And it helps the metal look a little more worn and a little more natural as opposed to like too shiny. And you could go back to the whole mini and do edge highlighting with a kind of thin white. You can go along edges and really make them pop a lot more. Again, with batch painting, I would keep it pretty simple. I would call that mostly done. So that's basically what we would be doing to the rest of our army. Probably a little bit faster because I won't be explaining things so much. But you can see if we take our finished one that we had as our model, they look a lot more similar now. They look like they're part of the same team and they're ready to go. After we do that to all the minis, we'll go ahead and treat all our bases and then we'll be all done. So thanks for watching. Hope that was helpful. See you next time.